Welcome to Believe in Chargers with Lorenzo Neal. Matt Money Smith here, and it is a day of celebration, Lo. You are fresh off a vacation. You have that golden glow returning from Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. I can only imagine how glorious that was. And as you got back last night, I don't know if you got the news while you were in the air, before you took off, or when you landed. Jim Harbaugh is the next head coach of the Los Angeles
No
Chargers.
question. It was all over. You see it on the radio, you listen to the radio, you saw it. It was like, hey, who just signed? It was like the national signing day. It was crazy. Look at Jim Harbaugh. Look, everyone knows in Michigan, you look at what's going on in that great state right now, winning a national title. The
Yeah.
Detroit Lions are planning to go to the Super Bowl. They earned the right to go to the Super Bowl. That place was on fire. And now you took out the lightning rod of that state, great state, Jim Harbaugh, and he comes back. Do we say it to California? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Come on, Jim, let's go.
Yeah, it's the prize of the coaching carousel of the 2024 offseason. No doubt about it. And congratulations to Dean and John Spanos. They did not allow him to leave the building, to get on that plane, to go to Atlanta, to hear a second pitch from Arthur Blank to take over the Falcons. They got it done. And I'll say it. I've said it repeatedly, and I'll keep saying it. This was the last piece for all the Spanos detractors that said, oh, they'll never give control and they won't pay the salary. And well, that's over. They've got $250 million facility. They've got one of the highest payrolls in all of football. They're $55 million over the cap right now
Right.
that they've got to figure out how to get below it. They had the highest paid player in Justin Herbert for a brief minute there. And now they're going to have one of the highest paid coaches, and he has earned it. He has earned that salary, locked in for 5 years to work with Justin Herbert to bring this franchise and all their fans the first Super Bowl in team history. And this is the best way to do it, Lo. It's a head coach quarterback pairing. That works. That's what works in the NFL. We're seeing it with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes right now. And I feel like the Chargers now have it with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert.
And to be candid with you, you know that Jim Harbaugh's seen more football than Herbert has
Yeah.
ever seen. He still knows where to go with the ball twice as much. So you're going to have a guy now that instantly, when you have a defensive minded guy or a running back, a different, yeah, you can tell them, hey, this is the offense, this is what we're trying to do. Now you have a guy that sees it the same way that you've seen it, that grew it playing this position, the same position that you've played for years. And so now you have that guy that can demand excellence, that guy that's going to push you to make you uncomfortable, but that guy that's still going to put his arm around you and say, it's okay. But you can't tell him that, hey, it's raining. And you know rain don't smell like piss, money. So that's what I'm so excited about.
No doubt. Look, we talked about what are you looking for? What do the Chargers need in a head coach in this hiring cycle? And repeatedly, we kicked this around. This is a team that figured out how to lose repeatedly. And you even heard the frustration in the exit interviews from so many of the players about accountability, about demand, about having whatever is missing be found this offseason. And it walks in with spades when Jim Harbaugh is in the building. It is someone, for people here in Southern California, they know he ended the USC dynasty, and he did it at, of all places, Stanford. A team that was 1-11 when he showed up, and he forced Pete Carroll to leave USC and take off to the NFL with his intellectual brutality and a style of football that the Pac-12 simply could not handle. And then he did it in San Francisco. You know that, Lo. You saw it, and the ability to create this physical just buzzsaw that you would feel for 2 weeks after you
Yeah.
played those 49ers, those Justin Smith, Ahmad Brooks, Aldon Smith, Navarro Bowman defense is punished by that offensive line and the tight ends and Vernon Davis, Delaney Walker, and Frank Gore. And like, he knows how to coach football. He knows how to punish his opponents. He has a style that has worked every single place he's been. And you know what this is
Yeah.
going to look like. You're going to love the way this looks, Lo. This is football made for you, man.
No question. One word, tough. And here's the deal. If
Tough.
you can't cut it, you're not on this team. That's what
Right.
I love. And I know this is what you've been talking about, Money. You and I have been talking about. When are we going to change a culture? And how do you change that? Well, you have to bring the right guy in for that. And just don't just look at his track record. Look at his family's track record. Look in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Tough, mean. Look at the way that they play. So you got it. You look at his dad, tough. Yeah, I know his father. He's a great guy, and he told the story about Muhammad Ali, and he was in a fight, and he came into the Baltimore Ravens, and John had his dad come up and speak, and he was talking about how we were the Ravens, but we were the team that just had Joey Flacco, rookie quarterback. Didn't people know? We'll go to the AFC Championship, and he's talking to us, the latter part of the season when we're right there, and he goes, you know what? He tells a story about Muhammad Ali, talks about how tough you have to be, how you have to be built tough because sports is not easy. And he tells about how Muhammad Ali goes from Cassius Clay to change his name to Muhammad Ali. And he's telling this story about this guy said, well, his mama named him Cassius Clay. That's what I'm going to call him. And Muhammad Ali said, I'm going to make him change my name. I'm going to make him say my name. And he's telling the story, and he's up there in front of the team, and he's like, the round one starts, and I'm like, jabs and jabs. Every time, Muhammad Ali knock him down in the fourth round, and he just stops and calls him, what's my name? Every round, Muhammad Ali says, what's my name? Whispering in his ear in the clinches, what's my name? And he just went on to tell the story about how tough you have to be. And finally he said, Muhammad, because you have to beat people down. And
Yeah.
that's what Harbaugh, that's the mentality just of their family, their mantra, their dad, their brother. You have to change culture. And how do you do that? You got to get people to break and submit, to make them know what's your name. How are we changing? The way of the Chargers, that way is done. That way it's done. People watch the Chargers because they like the franchise, of course, but it's about the guys with the name on their jersey who they come to see. That's a Michigan. They've always been a dynasty, but this one, they talked about Harbaugh, how he changed the chemistry and changed the
Completely.
dynamics there. That's what people and fans want to see. And so now it's what's my name? It's the Chargers. What's my name? The
Yeah.
Chargers.
It's I don't think very many teams, rued the day the Chargers plane landed in town and they got off the bus as you celebrate with your cigar. By the way, it's playoff time. The road to Vegas goes through San Francisco and Baltimore. Just talking about that. BetOnline is your number one source for playoff football odds, stats, trends, and lines with everything from point spreads to hundreds of player performance props. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline. The game starts here, but Lo, you know it because you were part of it. Teams are not happy when Baltimore gets off the bus
No.
because they know an ass beating is coming. And that's what Jim Harbaugh is going to try and install on these Chargers, that when that plane lands or when you show up at SoFi, it's going to be 60 minutes of hell. And you're going to have to weather that if you intend to get a victory. And it's why the Ravens have been the most consistent team in the NFL for the last 20 years since John Harbaugh has been there.
Yep.
And even before that, it was a culture that was installed by Ozzie Newsome.
Yep.
And you just knew that, hey, it's a Ravens game. It's
Yeah.
going to knock the snot out of you, and you're going to feel it for a couple weeks. And just the idea that that's what's coming to the Chargers is, man, it is so exciting to know that that's what we're going to be seeing here for the next 5 years and hopefully the next 10 years.
No question. And my thing to you is like, what do you expect? How do you expect the durability? Because John and Jim, they are still unique, but they're different. They have what's if you had a concern? If you had a concern, you look at this team. What is he going to bring to the table? Kind of laying out what you're expecting, how this thing is going to morph into what we believe it can, and what makes it sustainable.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll be honest, Lo, I don't have any concerns. It's why he was, to me, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth,
He
sixth,
was.
seventh, eighth choice, and I just hope, well, I'll say this is my concern. I hope he brings Jesse Minter. I want that Michigan-Baltimore defense. Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter were Baltimore guys and Michigan guys and then Baltimore guys and Michigan guys. So what you see from that Baltimore defense, where it's coming from everywhere, is what you saw at Michigan. Same thing. Just think about the defensive players that they have put in the league since Jim Harbaugh got there. Think about Aiden Hutchinson
Yeah.
and Joey Bosa.
They go.
And think about, think about the linebackers in Baltimore and Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith and just the damage that they inflict. Think about Kyle Hamilton and now and how they're using him. And Daniel Jeremiah, who does the games, with me for the Chargers games, we were talking yesterday and he said, and I'll pose it to you, Lo. He said, just throw me a few names, Jim Harbaugh guys that are on this roster right now that you think when he looks, he's like, that guy, that guy, that guy. They got him. and they're in important positions. And the first one that popped into my head when you say who's a Jim Harbaugh guy on the Chargers roster, take Justin Herbert off the
Yeah,
table, the
right.
quarterback, but take him off the table. Who's the first name you think of when you think, oh, this is a Jim Harbaugh guy?
Oh, it's got to be Mac. Khalil Mack is going to be one of the.
See, so you say Khalil, the first name that pops into my head, Derwin
Oh,
James.
Dora,
The
tough,
man wakes up,
physical
he
hit.
wakes up and he pours a bowl of football for breakfast and eats it,
Yeah.
and that's Jim Harbaugh.
Oh,
Like, to
yes.
me, I know what you mean profile wise from Khalil Mack,
Oh
the
yeah, but
physicality,
Derwin
but I'm
James,
just thinking
physical,
mentality.
mentality, want to hit you, want to kiss you. He's all about football. Oh no, Harbaugh's going to get those guys, and Derwin James is going to be one of those guys that's going to buy in, that's going to be the
Yep.
first one there, and Jim's going to say, "I can work with him." And guess what? Derwin James' role is going to even increase because
Oh,
Harbaugh
yeah.
is going to push him to say, "No, look, we eat, breathe football, but also it's about how do you set that tone? How do you set that culture? How are you getting these older guys or the guys because he's going to bring in some veteran guys. He's going to bring in guys that he knows that are tough, and that's what he is. He's a great program builder, and that NFL is just like college now. It's 3 to 4 years and it's turnover. So Jim is going to have to do a great job, and the GM, which they brought, is going to do probably great too. They're going to build to say, "Hey Jim, what do you need in the stable? We're going to go get these guys. That's your type of guys, but you got to get those veteran guys to going to build the right way, the right chemistry, and that's what you
Yeah.
like about Harbaugh."
I may have told the story here before, but it's one of my favorites when Jim Harbaugh was introduced at Stanford and he was talking about his coaching journey and how he got into being a coach. He mentioned that right before he took the job at San Diego, he had when he was thinking about getting into coaching, he had a conversation with Bo Schembechler, his old coach at Michigan. And coach said to him, well, if you're going to get into coaching, I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. You going to have a fullback? Yes, I am. You have a tight end, plays with his hand in the ground? Yes, I am. You going to run God's play? Yes, I am. I'll run power. He goes, all right, you can be a head coach. I think that is, you love it,
I
Lo.
do.
But speaking to what you're saying, I think that's where you're going to see the most dramatic overhaul of this roster in the tight end room, where they don't really have a full service tight
Physical.
end or a blocking tight end, and in the running back room where they don't have. Now, maybe they do. And maybe he just hasn't been given the opportunity because Isaiah Spiller's really the only big back in that room with Joshua Kelly and Austin Eckler. Isaiah's a big dude. People may not realize it, but he's a legit, probably close to 6 feet. He's a legit 215, 220 pounds. Those are the backs that he likes. Think of Toby Gerhart
Right.
and what he built
Right.
at Stanford. Think of Blake Corum and
Yep.
how physical he was at Michigan all year. So I think that's where you're going to see the biggest difference on this roster is think about Patrick Ricard out there,
Yep.
300-pound fullback. You're
Yep.
going to see a fullback. You're going to see tight ends that play with their hand in the ground, and you're going to see some hammers brought into that running back room because that's just the style of play that he's gonna work with.
Oh, no question, Matt. You're absolutely right. And just the attitude we're talking about. You're going to bring hammers, but they have to have the right attitude, and that's what's going to be interesting, just to see through his weeding process. Because even in San Francisco, it was a time where okay, guys were they wanted to complain, but he knew, but his remedy works. See, and that's the thing. That's why you got tough skin. Jim and John, they talk about having skin like an armadillo. Tough skin. You got to be able to be tough. And that's what he's going to build. Because look, and we and you both know, and fans know, the way that the Chargers were running it, it wasn't good enough. Something wasn't working. So they said, hey, it's time to flip the page. We're going to turn into this thing upside down. So enter Jim Harbaugh, because they knew that they need a
Yeah.
drastic change, because this organization, with the quarterback and the guys that you're talking about, it's no way they should have underachieved the way that they're underachieving. So now you have to say, and John, you give him credit. John said, you know what, Spanos, they're like, we're going to do whatever it takes. Like you always keep bringing that home. Money is not an object.
Yeah.
This family has said, we're tired of being labeled cheap. We're tired of saying people say we won't go out and get the best coach. Hey, won't give up power. We won't get the best players. We won't have the best facilities. Those days are over.
It's over.
This is an ushering of a new guard. And you see John now. John Spanos is saying, look, I know the transition's coming to me. And right now, he said, okay, I know what I did. Fool me once, fool me twice. But guess what? This third hire that he did, he's saying, you know what? I can't miss. I know that I'm going after the best guy, the guy with one of the best proven track record that's won on every single level, like you alluded to. He won a national title in Michigan. People said, hey, he'll never get by Ohio State. He'll never get by Alabama. Huh? Check that box. Look what he's done. Went to freaking San Diego, University of San Diego. Won there. Check. Won
Yeah.
that box. Like you said. Say, let me go to Stanford, one of the most academic school, academic wise. So it's hard to get those blue chip guys.
Yeah.
What did he do? He changed that culture, put Stanford, made them a viable school, and said, hey, let me go to the 49ers, a team that was sliding, that was going down. And everyone's like, man, what happened to 49? Look what he brought that team, went to the Super Bowl, won titles. And now it's like, okay, so now it's at saying it's the Chargers. How can he get an organization that I plan on some great teams there? We went to an AFC championship.
Yeah.
That team, the Chargers organization, been to a Super Bowl. You have a guy now that you're trusting that's going to get you. We weren't able to do it. I think this coach, give him the right ingredients, because he's the head chef. Give him the right ingredients to make his dish, make his meal. This guy will make a superior meal, and he'll make a superior team.
Well, just kind of building off what we're talking about, Harbaugh guys, they are premium positions. And, for people that aren't around the team day in, day out, maybe you can, and it's hard, it is hard for the casual fan to understand line play and how important it is and just the attitude that it takes and how somebody is dominating, because you're not going to call Rashawn Slater's name because no one's getting by him. He's not getting flagged for penalties or for false starts or holding calls. And all he's doing is pitching shutouts. And he's a bad dude, man. He shuts people down. That's a Harbaugh guy at left tackle.
No
You got
question.
him. And the other one, Derwin, Rashawn, and the third one, I think, is the other foundational piece. This Harbaugh's going to lose his mind when he gets his hands on Tuli Tuipulotu. He is going to freak out because he is 20, just turned 21,
Tough.
and he is tough. He is mean. He plays up and down the line. He doesn't quit. Guy had 1 million hockey assists for other sacks on the team, that he was just blowing people into the hands of Khalil Mack and Morgan Fox and Joey Bosa while he was the guy creating the pressure that led to so many of those sacks. Harbaugh's going to those are the three guys.
You're right.
And they're all, and obviously
Young.
Harbaugh. You got quarterback, left tackle, defensive end, and basically captain of your defense, safety, where linebacker, who knows where he's going to end up playing, Derwin James, all over the place. But those are foundational pieces that you can now build
pieces
around.
that are young, that can get. You're exactly right, Money. You have foundational pieces that are young, that are in the peak of their career, that can build, that are tough. That you're not. All you're gonna have to do is just say, look, let me just season you a little bit more, because all those guys, like you said, they're foundational pieces, and they have the right attitude. They have that. They're not just they're good players, because you've been around a lot of players, Matt. You and I, that man could play, but they just wasn't a team type of guy. They didn't get along. They just do their job. They don't want to be. You need these guys. If he tells them to jump, they're going to be like, how high? And that's the kind of guys that you want as your foundational pieces. Now we got to change this culture that Harbaugh's going to go up to, Durham say, hey man, it's not good enough. And Durham's like, okay, I got to get better. See, when you have a coach that's going to push those buttons, then when you didn't, because coach is like, man, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. The hell with that. The hell with that. That's mediocrity.
Yeah.
That's mediocrity. And that's what Harbaugh's going to do. But he's going to do it in a way that if you can't get it done, hey man, you can't get it done. Guess what? Hey, I'm going to go with this guy. I'm giving a couple plays. There's a couple plays because right now I don't see it. I see it lacking. So he's going to push guys like that. Watch, you're going to see some unhappy individuals. But it's going to, when your dad got on you, he pushed you, and you wasn't happy, but you say, oh, hey dad, I understand. That's what he's going to do. You're going to see some guys that you're going to say, wow, what's going on? And they're going to be, but he is going to, the thing about it is, they're not going to be there. He has the keys. So he's going to weed those guys out, and there's going to be guys that you're going to see, man, he's going to take them to the top of the mountain, and he's going to push them and see what they fly on.
And going back to, the point you were asking about, the Harbaugh impact and the other, when we were talking about other candidates and who else could it be? Is there somebody else that makes sense? And the reason why I said it's, 1 through 10 is the Justin Herbert factor. It's one thing. Just think about what he walks in with. Number one, he was a quarterback for 20 years. The guy played in Indianapolis for 5 minutes and he's in the Ring of Honor. That's the impact he had in that city when they had just moved and it wasn't going great. And he makes that playoff run in the AFC Championship with a Hail Mary that almost knocks off the Steelers. That's what he meant to that franchise. But he walks into the room not only having been a quarterback and a first-round pick and taken all the incoming from those psycho Chicago fans for 5, 6 years, whatever that was when he was there, following up Jim McMahon. But so he's got his playing career. But now you walk in and you say to Justin Herbert, made Andrew Luck #1 pick in the draft, made Stanford relevant, 12-1, Orange Bowl, did that. Went to San Francisco. Alex Smith was a bust. Everybody
Bust.
talked about what a mess. #1, you could have taken Aaron Rodgers. You chose poorly. Took him to the NFC Championship. Completely changed the narrative on Alex Smith's career because of what Jim Harbaugh did with him in just 1 year.
Yep.
Colin Kaepernick can't play football that
Nope.
way. This guy's run first. Oh yeah, watch this. Made him the most lethal weapon in quarterback, as at quarterback in football for those 2 years that they went to the Super Bowl and back to the NFC Championship game. J.J. McCarthy, a complete afterthought, going to be a first-round pick at Michigan, won a national championship. You sit down with Justin Herbert and you say, hey, we're gonna tweak this thing a little bit. We're gonna move things around. We're gonna do this and play football a little bit differently. We're gonna be a run-heavy team. You're gonna get these play-action shots. You're gonna see guys wide open down the field. We're gonna use that cannon you've got attached to your shoulder, and this is gonna be great for you. His numbers are gonna come down. There's no doubt that Justin Herbert's numbers are going to come down. He's not going to be a 5,000-yard, 35 touchdown, quarterback year in and year out. And the idea that you're leaving a Ferrari in second gear, no, I don't think that's the case at all. You're going to make him lethal because of how dominant and punishing that running game is going to be. The amount of time he's going to have to throw you're going to have more explosive plays because of it. And he's got the credibility. He's got the history. He's got the background to say, Andrew Luck, Stanford, Toby Gerhart, intellectual brutality, 3 tight ends, a sixth. I had a 6th offensive lineman and 3 tight ends out there with Andrew Luck and Toby Gerhart, and we're throwing to Levine Toilolo 40 yards down the field for touchdowns. We're going to make this work. It's going to look different, but it's going to work.
Matt, you've done your homework. I can tell you are a hardball fan. My goodness, the way you took us down the memory lane about some of these guys, you're saying, God, how he's going to move around. But you're right. That's what he's going to do because it's just going to be now you got a team that's going to be wide open quick. It won't be, okay, wide open the whole game. It's like, okay, run, and if you can't, and the thing about it, people are like, well, you're just going to run and it's going to be my name offense. It's not, no, because you have to have success. Harbaugh's going to demand everyone's like, or you're just going to run. They don't understand what you're saying. You're saying, look, you're going to see a team that's going to run, but they're going to run with efficiency. And now, guess what? You're going to put 9 guys in the box, and it's bombs away over your head. That's that far. You don't think Herbert's going to be open? You're not going to open him up? No, but it's going to be opened up by design, so you're going to see more efficiency. And that's the point you're alluding to, is because of what you have in Harbaugh, it's going to force guys and teams to play differently for you can see that high efficiency, that big bomb that you want to see down the field. You want to see where's the consistency at. This is what he's going to bring to the table and make Justin Herbert way more efficient. I agree with you.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to just kind of look off screen here for a second because I want to make sure I get the numbers exactly right. And here's the perfect example. We talk about, it's not going to be a 5,000-yard, 35 touchdown type season. Well, guess what? Someone's going to win the MVP this year, and that someone is going to have passed for, let me get the numbers here, all of, here we go, regular season, 3,678 yards and 24 touchdowns. That's Lamar Jackson's passing numbers this year, right? 3,624. Now, he rushed for 821 and 5 touchdowns. That's going to help him, but that's what we're talking about. That's Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Justice Hill, Patrick Ricard. It's the tight ends with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. Like, it's going to look like it's going to have it's not the same because Justin is a much more accomplished passer than Lamar. It's going to look different. But what I'm getting at is you're going to play a physical brand of football. Herbert's still going to win MVPs. It's just going to look different. It's not going to be the Drew Brees 5,200 yard 38 touchdown type of season. It's going to be a little bit more of the 4,200 yards, 25 touchdowns, probably another 6 or 7 on the ground. And that's what I assume it's going to resemble.
You're absolutely right. And that's what this is going to be Justin Herbert's best running year ever. You're,
Yeah.
you're you're absolutely right because Harbaugh's going to be like, this guy can't do it. He just hasn't been had to do it. Harbaugh's going to, but he's going to run smarter. He's going to run more efficient. They're going to teach him how to slide. They're going to work on drills where he's actually running the ball, getting him out there with the bags
Yeah.
and hitting. And you're going to have this guy saying, "Okay, I know how to run the ball. I know what I'm looking for." So that's what he's going to, because Harbaugh's going to make the backside become the front side. He's going to make defenses cover every blade of ground and every blade of grass. And now your quarterback, because Herbert, to me, I think he's a fat one of the, I think maybe top 7 or 8 fastest quarterbacks in the league. He's
Oh,
not
yeah.
slow. So he can,
No.
this kid can get it. He get out, he can run.
You know what he is, Lo, and I just pulled it up. Just he's Andrew Luck. That's what we're talking about. People didn't they don't think of Andrew Luck as as an athlete because he's a gigantic lumbering white dude. I get it.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
thinking like, "Oh wait,
absolutely.
no. The dude was fast. He was
Fast.
strong." You want to know what? Here's Andrew Luck's first 3 seasons in the NFL. 255 and 5, 377 and 4, 273 and 3.
Yeah.
Those are his rushing yards and touchdowns. And that's what Jim Harbaugh built at Stanford. That was the quarterback that he built. And there is a similar, all you got to do is watch his first start. Watch Justin Herbert's first start to know he's got that same physicality in him as Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck would punish guys when he would run
Yeah.
the football. And that's what, and so would Herbert, before they backed him off and said, you can't keep doing that. But
His
that's in his
mentality.
makeup. That is in
Yeah.
there. And you're going to see that's what it's going to look like. 62, 63, 64 attempts, 250, 370, 273, and
I
5,
agree.
4, and 3 touchdowns. That's what it's going to look like.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, you said it well said. And I think that you look at, the way that Herbert plays, like you said, he's physical type of guy, and he's a 200, what, 230? Everyone thinks
Yeah,
he's just those skin
giant.
stick. He's a giant.
He's
He's put it
gigantic.
together.
He's
Yes.
a horse. Low, he's probably 240. I'm not
I believe
kidding.
it. He no,
He's probably 6'6", 240. He is built
yeah.
like a giant linebacker. And when you saw him I wish I could remember his name.
Uh,
You know what? I'm going to protect the innocent.
right.
Knocked him into the next week. When he tried to bow up on him on the sideline and give him a
Right. I
look.
remember
The next thing you
Rainbow,
know,
yeah.
he's knocked out cold. Herbert pops up and is ready for the next play. Like look, there's a reason why we're excited, as we kind of put a button on this. Low, I don't want to speculate on the staff. Is Kellen Moore going to
No.
come back? Ryan Ficken going to come back? They're people, they got families. We hope it all works out for them. Perhaps coach is going to want to bring in his own guys. I don't think there's any question that Jesse Minter's got to be the top choice for defensive coordinator because of the job that he's done. And just, that's the style of defense you want. It's worked repeatedly, and you'd love to see that work. And then on top of that, I think, Greg Roman makes sense. He was with him at Stanford. He was with them in San Francisco. He was with Lamar Jackson and John in Baltimore. So it's certainly something that lines up. But I think he's going to probably go through the process of interviewing Kellen, interviewing Ryan Ficken. Will he bring his son Jay with him, who was the special teams coordinator at Michigan? Don't know. So I don't want to, and we don't, as of the moment we're taping this, we don't know who the GM is going to be. It's down to 2. It looks like Brandon Brown and Joe Ortiz.
I think
Because
it's
they're
gonna
the
be
two.
Jorty.
It makes sense that it's Joe.
Yeah.
It makes sense. 25 years in Baltimore, director of player personnel, basically just a notch below DaCosta now after all those years with Ozzie and with DaCosta and helping build that Ravens team to be the most consistent force in football. So, and that's going to be a great partnership. And once that gets done, that'll be our conversation next week of, okay, well, now you got all these pieces. We know the coordinators. We know the GM. We got the 5th pick in the draft to talk about. How's it all going to look?
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm just glad the Chargers finally it's over. You and I have been waiting the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks. It's been so many guys. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Vrabel? Who's going to be this coach? And now, you know what? One bowling down, one ball down. One
That's
of those
right.
balls are now taken off the table. Now it's like, okay, what's the GM? Now we look forward to just what this Charger team and the organization in the direction that they're going to take us before a season starts. We need to know what's in the shelf, what's in the cabinets before any of this happens. And it's great that they're going about it the right way. And right now, Harbaugh is our guy, and I'm
Yep.
excited.
It's a day of celebration. Put that cigar in your mouth, Low. We'll be back next week to dig in even further after all the staff and general manager positions are filled. This has been Believe in Chargers, presented by Bet Online.